Hello, this is Mike with Door and Lock Tips. We're going to be talking about cleaning up a Schlage SC4 cylinder. Is it worth it? I'm thinking you're going to be surprised. Is it worth using the old cylinder? I say don't do it. Throw this thing in the trash. It's a piece of junk. I'm going to clean it all up and see if it's worth it. A waste of time using something old. It's kind of good to just pitch out the old and start with the new. It might pay just to throw this away. This is why we're checking it out, see if it's even worth doing. Stay till the end to see just how hard this was to do. You're not going to believe it. Stay till the end. Let's clean it up, put in some new pins. Maybe it's worth it. I don't know. What do you think? First of all, you're going to have some paint thinner. I highly suggest you get some odorless paint thinner at your box stores and get a jar maybe from some Jam or something like that and keep this on your truck. You're going to need it because if you don't and you're pinning up one of these older cylinders, they're full of all kinds of dust from brass against brass. They just are filthy inside. So let's open this bad boy up, dip it in some paint thinner and see if it's worth it. See, there's some play in this thing. Let me show you what I mean. The lock will not turn, but if I pull out on it, it will turn. So I'm going to repin it. I've already set up the pins. Clean it all up and see if it's worth it. It really has a tremendous amount of movement right here. Guys, is it really worth it? Shouldn't you just have a few of these cylinders on your truck for sale? Face of the plug touches the housing, and that's why this key is jamming up. Maybe just tightening it up, putting in new pins, it'll fix it. Let's find out. Here's the old one, and here's a brand new one. Same cylinder. This is made by General. This has no play in it, and it turns perfectly. Key comes out beautiful, but this bad boy, key sticks, and you got to wiggle it to get it to open up. Let's clean it up, put in some new pins. Maybe it's worth it. I don't know. What do you think? Leave a comment down in the comment section. I would say, personally, this is a complete waste of time. I've got a little teeny screwdriver. I push down on that pin. None of my custom nut removers would work. And turn the nut off. There's one hassle of using an old cylinder. Oh, and this thing is terribly filthy. Let's get our paint thinner over here. Throw all the goodies in here. That little spring did not come out. Don't forget to hit the like button and tell your friends. There, it did. Don't want to lose that spring. Look at how dirty this is. Now you're going to turn this with the original key. Get yourself a follower. I turn it about a quarter turn. Now I should mark the front of this cylinder. How can I do that? If I use this, it'll come off. I think what I'll do is I'll scrape it. All right, there's the front of the cylinder. I want to put the plug in to the front of the housing here. Boy, this thing is really wrecked. All right, gonna push it out. There's some funky stuff going on inside this thing. You can see all the binding. Look at the dirt. Throw everything in here. Key cleaned off. Let's mix the concoction up. It really pays to have some paint thinner, guys. Alright, I'm going to go dump this out and get it on a clean paper cloth. Get your strainer and a bowl. So you need all this stuff on your truck. Otherwise, you won't be able to do this. So we take our strainer and we just pour everything right there. Nothing's in the jar. What a delicious mix. And you can take your paintbrush and clean everything off. I like to keep a little paintbrush, art brush in my truck. I'm cleaning all this filth off of here. It really is important to do this. You know, you shove dirt back in your cylinder you just rebuilt. What's the point? What about the top housing? I'm saying we need to do that too. So let's go ahead and pull this apart. Delicious. Clean your follower off. This housing is what really builds up some dirt. A lot of good stuff in here. This is probably 20 bucks. Is it worth cleaning it up? We'll find out. It is definitely dirty. You want to save this paint thinner for later use. I'll just set this down over here. Take your jar and pour the stuff right back in. There you go. That's so nice. And let's just see how much crud and metal we got out of there. We got a lot of metal out of there. That would all bind up in your cylinder. So it really pays to clean it out. I even see a piece of a spring here. Kind of. Let's just see how much stuff is here. Whoa! And you get this all over your truck and all over your pinning stand if you don't clean this cylinder up. And you go put this back in the kitchen. She'll never know. Isn't this fun? Locksmithing is a joy. It really is. Get to do all kinds of stuff. Especially being neat and clean. I highly suggest you do this. Look at all the stuff stuck inside this cylinder. Well, this is a housing actually. It's where the cylinder spins. So take some paper towel. Shove it through here. I know you guys are in a big hurry to get a job done. I got that kind of clean. I'd have to rip the cover off of the springs, but I'm not going to do that. The springs are out. We're going to say inside there is good enough. Now the plug itself. Clean this bad boy up. It's definitely dirty. And the real problem was right here. That might have worn so much that it really won't allow me to tighten that cylinder up inside the housing. All that junk off of there. Now the tailpiece, you probably got more tailpieces. You know, we can put this back on. Go wash this and don't put it back in the kitchen. So I cleaned up the strainer and the bowl. Now you want to keep something like that out in your truck, a strainer, a small strainer, you can pick those up at Walmart. Any of the box stores even have them. Home Depot and Lowe's. Then you'll have it on your truck. You should have a strainer. Now here's all the parts and pieces. They're clean now. Let's put them out on my paper towel. I'm going to cover up my paint thinner. Real important. But there's no fumes coming out of this. If you get odorless paint thinner, you can keep it in your truck. It won't hurt you. Now, if you're a motor enthusiast and you like to work on engines, these are kind of like pistons in your engine. This is the engine. Here's the pistons, although there's no rings on these pistons. They just wear by rubbing and rubbing. I highly suggest you take these pins and throw them in the trash because the tolerances on them are going to be way different. In fact, let's put a $400 veneer caliper on these bad boys. I'll grab a number 5 out of my pinning kit and let's see what the width is on that. This is a brand new pin out of my pinning kit. That's 115 thousandths. This is the old pin now. 115 thousandths. Actually, let's rub it a little bit here. You're really supposed to be back at the back part of your veneer calipers. That gives you the true measurement. We're at 115. I'm saying it didn't wear. So it hasn't worn, maybe some tenths in there, not thousandths. It's the same size. Woo! Well, that's a good sign. And I'd say these pins are probably 20 years old. And the springs all look good. But we're going to put brand new everything in. Just for fun. There's more than fun to this. I want to find out if rebuilding this cylinder is worth it. Please stay till the end. See if it's all worth this cleaning and all this stuff. It may be, you know, at today's prices, shipping prices are insane. We've got maybe 16 bucks on this thing, depending on how you buy it. Let's say you have an interlock somewhere. It's not as much money. It's cheaper. But if you buy them individually and then you got to ship them, it can be a fortune for these things. So stay till the end to see if it's really worth it. And if I did fix it by cleaning it up. Here's brand new stuff. New top springs. All the old pins. We're just going to stick them over here. Woo. These things are so teeny. This is an old A1 pinning stand. Great pinning stand. And you want to hang on to this. You're not going to replace this back pin for this funky sized castle nut. And look at this. This has a big spring for the tail. It goes in this cylinder right like that. Look at that big spring. That's pretty funky. So we want to hang on to both that. The pin that holds the round nut in place. One has definitely tried hurting this thing. It's bent up a little bit, but it'll be okay. I'm going to go ahead and load up the housing. Now I know this is the front, so I don't want to put an extra pin back here. That's where the pin is missing because this is a 6-chamber housing, SC4. Get your follower. You can start in the back if you like, or in the front. This is the front. This is the back. I usually always start in the back. just the way I do it. You'll understand some of the reasons when you do this a lot. Have a theory behind all of it. But I do like to start in the back. So these are brand new number 3 top driver pins. Got one in there with the spring. And I can put 2. Do not want to fill that last hole. I should have actually taken it from the back here. This tray is numbered, so if I just follow the directions here. I got those 2 in. Bring it around here to the front. There's one funky little follower. I don't normally use this follower. Boy, look at all the galling that was going on inside this housing. Put a spring down in there. Take a number 3. Take it from the center. Only problem with this pin tray is I got to be straight up and down. It kind of gets my hand in your road for me to grab those pins. I just put one in there. You don't want to miss anything. Put another brand new spring in. Now you're keeping track of the time, aren't you? Is it worth cleaning these up? I guess if you don't have one. Well, I don't give it away just yet. Locksmiths usually charge about 75 bucks an hour. I don't know. Do you think it's worth it? All right, we got it loaded up. All brand new springs and top number 3 drivers. Now this is relatively simple. All you do is load your pins up. And I noticed the old key looked cut different than this. Once I've got it all loaded, I'm going to check with the key. Always conical end down. That's the pointy end down towards the key. Yeesh. That's that little pointy end. And there's the flat end. That's straight up at you right now. Okay, we got those in. Now let's check with the old key. See if it even works. Yeah, that's correct. Let's see though. Yeah, totally flush. How nice that is. All right, we're going to take this. We're going to turn about a quarter turn. And I'm going to shove it in. It's back together. Put a little pressure on the face of the plug so I don't pull that out of the housing. Oopsie daisy. Oh my. Do not want to lose this spring. Put this spring in. This long pin in. Wow. That is really loaded with some pressure. Now I can pretty much take this away here and show you what I'm doing. I'm going to put a nut on the end of this. I'm going to have to kind of not have a tool to do it because my tools do not fit that nut. I wish it did. I don't know why it doesn't. It's just not. And if the big bro can't do it, put it in like that. Put the cover back over here. And we're going to push that pin down with a screwdriver or whatever you might have handy. Get the nut started. So easy with a tool. I can't get it going. My hand is in a cramp today. Come on, baby, get going. You gotta push this down and get it threaded. This thing's a piece of junk. Huh. Oh, I think, okay, I got it threaded. Got it started anyway. Once you get it started, it usually will go easier. You want to tighten it all the way down and have it 2 clicks off, but this cylinder is so worn. I'm going to come back 2 clicks. There's 1. That pin is definitely bent. All right, it's in there. Let's see if the key works. Nope, that's still too tight. Some wear on the front of this plug. And 2 clicks is not going to do it. So that means 3, and that means it's going to have some play in it. Oh, my key. I just spun it the other way. Tight. 1, 2, 3. That pin does not want to engage this nut. Do you think it's worth using these old things? Pfft, what a bunch of junk. That is not going up in there, guys. And I've got it put in there properly. It's just not going into the hole. It has to go up in there. Yeah, it's finding some larger spots. I'm saying I need to take it off and take a file to the pin. The waste of time using something old. It's kind of good to just pitch out the old and start with the new. They're going to pay, you know, if a locksmith gets about 75 bucks an hour, you might get more. More power to you. Is it worth using the old junk? Man, see that? It's messed up. No fault of my own. All right, let me get a file. All right, now I'm going to take a little file to it. You know, if the homeowner is standing on your shoulders, this probably would look kind of funky to him, wouldn't it? And if you said, you know, a cylinder's 20 bucks, you want me to use this old one or give you a new one? I would say, personally, this is a complete waste of time. I'm doing it for the show, but if you got a brand new cylinder on your truck, you'd be having that bad boy back together again by now. Have to pull out your top driver pins. Ay, ay, ay. And this piece of junk. What in the world? I think I'll try to file it a little bit. I'm not doing much good here. Anything to help it slide back in again. I can't really put my other nut on from something else because it probably won't fit right. What a bunch of junk. This is real world stuff. Let's put our crummy pin back in. Let's put our tailpiece back on. Now, if this accommodated my tool, I could just slip this tool on here and then shove it back down. Way faster than this nonsense. You know, after I get this all done, it may not still work because I didn't want to spend a long time filing, but maybe I should have. Tell me, is it worth doing this? Guys, is it really worth it? Shouldn't you just have a few of these cylinders on your truck for sale? I guarantee you, if the homeowner watched you do it like this, he'd probably think you were ripping him off. I think, yeah, this guy's just trying to make some money on time. All right, there we go. That's what I'd think. The pin is going in, I guess. What a bunch of junk. All right, there's tight. Now we know we got to go 3 off of tight. There's 1. It doesn't go in that hole again. That's 2, and that's 3. Come on. Go in this hole. Maybe if I wiggle it a little bit with the key. Come on, pin. See, the pin doesn't want to go back up in that little slot. You know, somebody did break into this building, and they might have wrecked this whole end of the cylinder. No, that's not holding. I'm going to have to file this whole thing way out to hold the pin. Mark it. There, we got a mark, so I'm gonna file that detent spot. Filed it out pretty much big enough to hold that pin. Let's stick it back in. Now I got that back together. You know, I think what's happened is when they tried breaking in here, this tailpiece some way collided with the pin by trying to force turn this open. I'm thinking that, and that's why that pin is all messed up. Let's put it 3 turns out. I know it'll work now. At least the pin will go in. There, hear that click? That's where I filed it. Right there. Moment of truth. Do you think it was worth rebuilding this thing, or should I just use a brand new one? Now I did have to match his old key, so I'd have to repin the brand new one, but imagine I could use the nice wrench for doing this type of work. It goes on this way, and it turns that nut so easy, guys. Look at that. I wouldn't have to do all that filing, wouldn't have to pull all the top pins out, put new springs in. None of that junk. And I guarantee you most of you guys aren't doing that anyway. You'd have just stuck this all back together again. Probably. I'm just guessing. I don't know. Maybe you would. You would have probably rebuilt it like me, right? And let's see. I'll find the key. Alright, here's the key. Yeah, it only turns one way without a catch. With that catch. Even if I pull out on it, it's messed up. Here's another one. Here's a brand new key that I cut. Let's see if the new key works. Nope. It don't work at all. Is it worth using the old cylinder? I say don't do it. Throw this thing in the trash. It's a piece of junk. I'm not even going to use it to use it for picking. It's garbage. You know what it's good for? Scrap. So if you take a lot of time and energy and effort for one of these no good, rotten, old cylinders, you're just going to have trouble passed on for your new beautiful job. Buy a new one. So that's my tip for the day. Buy new. You can't go wrong. It's set up nice. Nothing's worn out. And you saw it. I just rebuilt this whole thing and it won't work. What a bunch of junk. Please subscribe to my channel. Tell your friends. And I'll have more stuff like this. Is it worth buying a new one or using an old one? What do you think? I say throw the old one in your scrap pile. Buy new. Thanks again, guys. Hit that like button.